we're going to show you what you can do. And I'm going to close that for a second. If you have a square, here's a square pattern, is AQ feather square, but you don't have a matching triangle. Well, you know, you can turn squares into triangles. So we're going to grab that pattern, put it out here in white space so we can work with it. They're going to have us put a pattern center on it so that we know where the center is. And we want to cut this thing in half. Well, you know, you're familiar with doing trimming when you're working with edge to edges, so we're going to use the trim button. But I'm going to do it with my mouse. I'm just going to do it on the current selection because we don't want it trimming anything else. We do want Clip Connect turned on because we want the pattern to connect together at the end. And we're going to do it at an angle. In fact, this angle is going to be minus 45 degrees. Okay, then we're going to come over here and scroll way in on this so that we can left click right smack dab in that center. And now I'll scroll back so you can see what's happening. All right. Now, it talks about, this one doesn't look like what the one in the book does, and it says if the yellow is the upper part of the right triangle, select the invert button, so it's now on the lower part. Okay? And if we say accept, boom, it cuts it off. I'm going to come back to transform. You can see, because we said Clip Connect, it connected it as well. So we've now, with one very quick step, turned a square into a triangle, which you could save. Now that you've got this, we could come up and do File, Save Pattern, and so forth. But we're just going to use it in this particular instant in the corner. But we don't really know where our corner is yet, do we? So we need some more push pins. So once again, I'm going to turn back on my camera so you can see what's happening. We need to go to push pin, connect. We don't need to close, so I'm going to turn off the close. And because we've already got push pins showing us where the top part of our triangle or our inner square is. So we're going to come on over and we're going to put our needle positioned at number 1 on the diagram. And since this is push pins, we're going to use the left handle's white button for positioning. Let me see. Yeah, I did put one there, but it's a little hard for you to see because I don't have the... There we go. Now you'll be able to see it. We're going to come down to the lower left corner. Click. Yep, there it is. Come to the center, point number 3. Come clear to the right, point number 4. And come here to the top, point number 5. So now we're able to see, if I get my crosshairs out of the way, we're able to see where those triangles are on the quilt and size them accordingly. We're going to go back to transform. We've got our square. We're going to have to do a clockwise 90-degree turn on it, yep, to get it into the right corner. And then let me show you a neat thing you might not have recognized. This thing called 2-point resize. Well, actually, let me do one other thing. Let me, first of all, we're going to have to, undo, okay. I want to first set it in the corner. I want it nicely placed in my lower right corner. That looks good. Okay, now I'll turn on 2-point resize. When you do 2-point, 1 point across from it becomes fixed. So I can now just pull on this one. Come on. And notice it stays where it's supposed to be, and I only have to stretch the 1. Makes it much easier to place things. Okay, that looks pretty good. Might want to make this a little bit closer. And if you wanted to, you could put a little bit of a rotation on it, because you've noticed, and I would use this to do the rotation. Yeah, now we've got it nicely placed along our line. So now we're going to right-click on it and copy it. Got it sized. We got it the way we want. We're going to come in here, and now all we have to do is a vertical flip. Whoop, and align it down in the corner. And this side might be a little smaller, you never know with quilts. So we're going to kind of position it, try to make it the same distance from that inside edge, and it too is kind of a little bit crooked, so there, we straightened it out. And let me show you one last trick. You can draw an imaginary square by simply holding down the left mouse button and drawing or pushing. You can use that as a way of lining things up. So I can now come up here and touch the the rightmost side of that one triangle, and see how this one's still up a little bit. So we're going to come over here and we're going to nudge that down by a 1/64, and I'll come again and see, I'm not quite the same yet. Go down one more. So you can use this invisible triangle, yeah, to see if things are in alignment. If I do the outside corner piece, yeah, they're both touching. They look fine. They're ready to sew. So we're going to say File, Save Project, Sew, and we're going to say Continue. It should go to its starting point. Since we created this one first, it's going to get a pickup. It's going to sew this one first. They're relatively short. I'm just going to sit here and stitching. Almost done with the first one. Attach my thread. Move my tails. Hit Continue, and it'll go to the next one. Do a pickup. Hang on to my tails and hit Continue. If you're doing tack-offs and cutting these off, you don't have to sit here like I do and try to have it avoid the tie-off being run over. But as we aligned it, it's lining up very nicely to about how close I was going to get to the seam. See, I come to the end and stop.